was to reduce the density required so I could build up to 8 units. There's no business case at all to be able to build anything below that. And that's the reason for my approach is to build something there. Otherwise, from a multifamily perspective, it cannot be done economically at all. Even an 8 unit is a push. But the request from, I presented my case at the last zoning meeting, and the request was to bring 2 things. One was a drawing showing that the structure can meet the setbacks and kind of give also a feel of what it could look like, potentially. And the second was to show, because of where this lot is on Sunapee Street and on Columbus Circle, show how the deeds are, because my 118 Sunapee Street, which I also own, has an embedded easement to allow access to 120 Sunapee Street, but the request for me was to bring both deeds to the table just to show that that's a fact the case, and that's what I did. I provided that. So my request is to grant the variance to allow me to do up to 8 units there. Happy to answer any questions.
Any questions from the board? Now we'll go up to finance.
I see the easements are here.
Excuse me, Mr. Chairman, is that the presented case?
Well, we went through the...
No. Has he presented his case, and if now it's open to public?
Yeah, I was going to do questions from the board, but first I'm trying to see my order. I was going to ask the board to ask questions and then the public, but
Just conduct it the way you would.
yeah. Let me get questions from the board and then I'll open up to the public. I had a question on the, all right, so I can see the, so Columbus is right away off Columbus.
Yeah, here, I'll give this over to you, sir. The same drawing.
Okay. So you're coming in, all right.
Yeah,
So
you
you
come
got-
up the steep slope here. There's already a driveway into 118, obviously, for obvious reasons. This is how you have me access. I'll expand it, but there's a built-in right-of-way here that would allow access.
All right, so building and parking on each end. And what's this core? 20,
I guess it's a label up.
Oh,
Yeah,
8
she
units.
just put a label on it.
Okay, so that's the 8 units, two bed.
Yeah.
Levels.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
all right.
So how-
That's what I couldn't tell on this one.
No,
So you've got 2 floors, you got
that's
4
right.
units.
That's right. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Right.
Common access to utilities, but it's 2-story, 20 by 40, plenty of space for.
If anybody from the audience wants to talk, look at this better drawing.
Well, he could put it over.
Yeah.
And the key thing here was that I showed that you're able to get 16 10 by 20 spots here. That was one of the questions you made. They need to know if you have enough parking. The answer is absolutely. Now, once I do the final surveying and what the final the lot's going to look like, it may shift a little bit, but with the existing, it can be done. And also setbacks be met, and that's where these actually get there.
Yeah, so
The key thing is just the way the ordinance is written, that it trips the density. So.
The densities, you have 8 units.
That's the request, and the numbers are in that.
he's kosher for 4, but not.
That's right, exactly. 17,000 square foot lot, and the way it's written, only up to 4 can be done, but my request is to do 8.
Well, actually,
put it back over
look it
there.
up or,
Yeah, that's fine.
yeah. Questions from the audience? Public?
The drawing is not so that I can read it from where it is, so will you go through it, explain it? And where is 11 and 103? Sunapee Street.
Oh, I'm sorry. This is Sunapee Street.
Okay?
Columbus Circle here.
Yep.
So that's that steep slope. 118 Sunapee Street, already existing. I tried to the best I could to actually put an exact location. I used Access GIS to be able to do this. The right-of-way exists here. It's 15 foot from the lot line. So this would be your access point into 120. And then from here, this is the exact dimensions of the lot. And the building that I chose to be representative has units that are 20 by 40, plus some utility access, so even bigger than what it needs to be. The key thing here was to show with the setbacks, which I have down here, 15 foot deep from the front, 8 foot wide from the sides, and 25 foot from the rear, that it can be constructed. And that also, two other requirements, 30% lot coverage, I meet that, and then also the 16 spaces, the 10 by 20. Now this is, I'm doing this without a survey, this is based upon Access GIS, and this is representative that can be done. The final layout, the final plan may shift, once I, actually do the final survey work, but the whole purpose of this is it shows it's doable.
Okay, well, the good thing about it is there is not an access to Sunapee Street that is created from the lot itself,
Yeah, I don't,
on that corner.
the way that
Well, I'm
is, I don't
speaking
think-
now. When you were speaking, I did not interrupt, okay? Now it's my turn. Okay, and I'm talking to the board.
I see.
So that is an asset, because coming onto Sunapee Street from there would be, so that's a tremendous asset. So the next thing is you want the spaces, the parking spaces, are gonna stay at 10 by 20?
That's what he represented. And just to clarify, sorry, but we try and have everybody talking to the board, not get back and forth. Most of the time it's fine, but every now and then it gets
I get it,
sketchy, so.
thank you.
Go ahead, Bert, I'm sorry.
Okay, so the variance that is before you right now is for a less parking spaces or smaller ones.
No,
No,
it's,
No, he's got enough parking spaces.
he's good.
He's
got enough.
He's got 2 per 10 per 20, it's the next one we gotta, is the size.
Yeah, so he has the 10 by 20, 16, and
16 spaces.
access on Columbus Circle, and the deed does say that there's a right-of-way in the deed.
Okay, now I see where I went right on that. Okay, now I'm here.
I didn't bring the application from last time where he had everything.
Okay, so the variance he's looking for is the lot area.
Correct. Because he can do 4 at this point, but he would like to do 8, and you're just over the lot availability to do so.
Actually, I think he meets the lot coverage, it's just the number of units.
So he's really asking for a variance for the number of units
Yeah.
in the lot coverage. So he's being creative with
Going up.
the structure in order to gain more square.
That's right, because last time we talked, that, I believe that was put in that way to keep it from being clustered or whatever, but obviously times have changed or whatever.
Yeah.
Because we couldn't figure out why the 4 or not, whatever.
I mean, I'm not gonna do math in public, I'll take your word for it, there's 30% coverage, yes.
What you're talking about, the last look.
But this lady deserves a raise.
See the company.
You hear that,
Thank you,
Hunter?
Mark. Yeah, I think, the property will be 2 stories to ensure the 30% coverage requirement is not exceeded. So, yeah, he's not covering it, it's just the number of units.
Yeah, our concern last meeting was just to show the right-of-way was actual in writing that it was there, and also just having a sketch how he showed us. And then you said you're gonna get it surveyed, provided you get your,
Yeah,
to make sure this actually works
Yeah,
for you.
current zoning requires 4,000 square feet per dwelling unit, and this is 2,100 per dwelling unit, so that's the variances. The less than 4,000 per dwelling unit.
Okay, so less than 4,000, what is it?
2,100, 2,125. That's proposed.
That's how big each dwelling unit is?
No, that's the number of square feet per dwelling unit
Okay.
on the lot, which is what the variance would be, not, lot coverage isn't kosher, it's just yeah, I think, like you said, somebody picked a number and,
Yeah, because we talked about last time, because we weren't sure where that came from, like, Why 4? Why not 3? Why not 6? Why not whatever?
You can tell me better than I know. Probably there's a lot on Main Street that exceed, there's probably some units on
Yeah.
smaller lots with,
One of my buildings actually does.
well, I know we've allowed people to put in extra units and stuff, so.
I ran right on the back. So I own 14 Laurel Street, it's 4-unit. It's 1,600 square feet per unit on the lot. The lot's only 0.15 acres, substantially smaller.
Well, as I was thinking, some of the Main Street lots probably are, and would have been, well, buildings grandfathered in, I don't know if units may have added. Yes, Mr. Raleigh.
The example given, a grandfathered lot that doesn't meet the zoning requirements is grandfathered, allowed to stay.
Yeah.
We're building a new one. It doesn't have a grandfathered status. But the thing that I would say to the board, if in fact, for this development, he wanted to use 11 and 103 and Sunapee Street, which he did not because he had a right-of-way and is going to use that right-of-way, I should think that would allow him some brownie points in your decision,
Yes.
because it could have been worse. But at that point, then, he would have been held to the strict compliance.
Yeah. No, I understand that they're grandfathered, but I think we have allowed, I think it was one on North Main Street, we've allowed an extra unit. And
Yeah, we just did it last
Yeah.
month.
So we're going from how many units to how many units?
4 fits, he's looking for 8.
Okay, so double. So from 4 to 8.
Currently, it's just a wooded property, correct?
Repeat that, please?
It's just a wooded property right
Yeah,
now?
and that's, I'm gonna have it all cleared. And
Yeah.
you can't even get in there now, so we'll grow.
Yep.
And, yeah, so 4 fits, he's just putting another story on top. Do you have a concept of 1-bedroom, 2-bedroom?
Those details are forthcoming. And this has to do with, that would have to do with how this all comes together from a financing perspective. This will be an incredible challenge to actually make this work in terms of economics, because the construction costs are off the charts right now. So my final selection is going to match my business case, and I'll present that. My first thinking was it'd be 8 1-bedrooms, but I'm not sure I can do that economically. I might have to have a mix of 1 and 2s.
Yeah, obviously, it's not gonna be 3 and 4s, okay.
Correct. Yeah, 1 and 2s would be it would be 3s. It's just not, I mean, think about the parking also, you got 3 and 4 bedrooms, not viable.
Anyone else in the audience? No, okay, just double checking. Any more questions from the board?
So each one of these apartments are 800 square feet, and you're gonna, that's bigger than my house. I think you can handle that. I think you could do 2 bedrooms, I've got 2 in mine. Okay, I don't have any more questions.
Does anybody know the total parking spaces? Does that depend on the number of bedrooms per unit?
Just units. No, it's just units.
It's based on units.
2 per unit. And we went through that with the case that's coming up next is, anecdotally, it seemed like people have more cars, but it was presented last case at 0.9 is the average for affordable, but
It's getting less and less now. It might happen, but they can't afford to try.
yeah, to me, at first blush, 8 units sounds like a lot for the size of the lot, but it's basically just putting another story on the top. And frankly, I thought we'd have lots of abutters, but if I don't hear any,
Well, he's he owns the property on
Yeah, I
the
know.
left anyway.
And
Is there anything to the right? There is.
But it's been noticed twice, or been noticed, that's not an issue. I mean, even Columbus is not an ideal access, but we talked to, in crummy weather, they go out the other way.
Does the right-of-way come out on top of that first climb on Columbus? Or does it come out in the middle of that first elevation?
At the top right now. At the top, yeah. Now, since I own this, and we get down the road, I can expand this or change it too, since I can just change the deed here, but right now, it's there.
Oh, you mean?
I don't know if I-
Further up.
Yeah. So right now, it's coming out on the top of the crest. so
That's right, that's right. That first
I would think that would be the ideal place to have it. Just,
Coming out in the middle of that hill wouldn't be fun.
and both properties, they have access on Columbus?
Yes. What, 118 and 120? 118 absolutely, and
Yeah.
120 will.
Where's 118's access? I'm just curious, where's 118's access?
So at the very top of that steep incline,
Yeah.
there's a driveway here, and it expands. This is all driveway here. It opens up, it's all just going left or right. And then this is all overgrown, I'll clear all this.
Okay.
There's a fence there.
Okay,
Are we discussing it amongst ourselves, or not yet?
well, anything else from the public?
It complies with all of the zoning requirements for that lot. Is that a correct
From
statement?
the presentation that we were given last month, yes.
Yeah, the only issue was the lot size of the.
Right. If there was something else, it would have been before you tonight, I should
Yeah.
assume. Okay. So that being said, if your motion cements the right-of-way to where it is said it's going to be, that would be the thing to do. If there's a motion.
I would, if it's better up the hill, I'd hate to cement it further down the hill, that's,
Well, I don't think that's what the intention is. I mean, we were just trying to figure out, does he have a right of way? And my understanding is from the last meeting, you just wanted to see the deeds that
yeah.
solidified that.
I would just say if we allow the variances that we want the driveway to stay coming onto Columbus.
Yeah.
Sure, yeah, I could see that.
Yeah.
Unless you want to luge going down to
No.
Sunapee Street, that would not really.
My thought about questioning whether right-of-way came out was more of a safety factor.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I can see that. yeah.
When what he said, if it looks better, 20 feet up, I'd hate to cement it in where it is here. So, yeah.
Well, we verified the right of way.
Yeah.
And,
So if we get to a motion on, just say, we can say on Columbus through,
well, I make a motion if that's what you're
well,
looking
let's,
for.
are we,
We're not ready to vote
well, are
yet.
we ready to go into deliberation?
Yes.
If we're done with the public, then
All right,
Motion to go deliberation with the board?
second,
second.
all in favor? Okay.
Aye.
Aye.
We're in deliberation, so if we need to talk about anything, or else now we can entertain a motion.
Do you have a sheet for
Yeah,
yourself that you
take
gotta
it.
fill out?
I assume so, here we go. Take no copies yet. Okay. We've lost our motion maker, so don't do one of
I
you
don't have a
guys.
copy of the original one, but that's all right. We can-
Let's copy it, Maura came up with a copy of the original.
Yeah, I know.
I won't take credit for it. Okay, and we want to tackle,
5 questions.
yeah, or make the motion and I'll do the writing.
Chris is the only other one with questions in front of him, so tell anybody.
Here.
Share with her, you guys can. Now, granting the variance would not be contrary to the public interest because.
Well, it would be in the public interest because it provides more housing for the town of Newport in a time when housing is at a shortage.
More much needed housing. Okay. So I'm just jotting these down, then we vote on the whole thing at the end, right? Is that
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah, we can.
I'd say the spirit of ordinance is observed because,
Excuse me, is there a
yes.
second?
I think we only vote once now, at the very end, no?
No, not on these,
All
on
right.
variance.
All right, is there, it provides more much needed housing.
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. All right, go for it.
Spirit of ordinance is observed.
Excuse me? Oh,
We did, it was unanimous.
okay, thank you.
You see who runs the show here.
Thank God.
Someone's
There's
here,
somebody to
huh?
keep us honest.
The spirit of ordinance is absorbed because he could technically build exactly what he wants, just have one-story homes instead of 2, which would keep him at 4 units. So he's not changing anything.
He's not changing the square footage occupied on the property.
You know, lot coverage is not exceeded.
And the square footage of the basic footprint of the the building. Not exceeded by the basic footprint of the building.
I've got down lot coverage is not exceeded, only density, and this does not,
Adversely impact
I don't know.
the land.
Okay, lot coverage is not exceeded, only density, and this does not adversely impact the town.
I'll make that motion.
Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I'm sorry, Maura, I mumbled, just ask Becky. We go back and forth whether it's me mumbling or her hearing. Okay, number 3, granting the variance would not do substantial justice because.
Would do substantial justice because it would increase the amount of housing in the town of Newport.
In a more efficient way.
It allows so much needed housing in an efficient way. Okay, so you
So
made it,
make-
you second it?
Make a motion, yeah, sure. I second it. All in favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, okay. For the following reason, the values of surrounding properties would not be diminished.
Because he's finishing the property. He's improving the piece of the plot of land. There's nothing right now, right? It's all wooded and with nothing else, it's improving the property. The land. Unless he builds an ugly house, don't do that.
That's planning's issue.
That's right, that's planning's issue.
The lot will be developed and improved, / no butter objections.
Second that.
Second.
So Herb made it, we'll give you credit for this one. You made it,
I made it.
Jim seconded it. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, now we really lost our hearts. Got a blank on the back, and it's on the page here, so.
That's why you're on the fifth. You're looking for the unnecessary hardship question?
I had a copy of it.
Oh, do you?
That's in writing on it.
You don't see it?
You have a blank of the unnecessary hardship side?
Wait, let me check this one.
Question?
Yeah,
Those
the-
questions.
I've got the first page, but not the second page. Let me see if there's two in here with me.
Oh, yes.
All right, great. Yeah, I'm just gonna see if.
So would you like this or?
Yes, I'm sorry. What I don't have is the,
She has a, you can write it on.
yeah. I was just looking to see if there, what we had in the next one, if there were two in the next, that's the one. That's the next case. Copy it. It's in the next one. Okay. This hardship, but give it back to me this all, or actually here, this. Ready? I'm gonna write on that, I think. And you do this one. And what I'm gonna do is write on this one,
There you go.
because I don't have the page 2, or blank page 2. Okay. Or if you want to take a whack at it.
The unnecessary hardship,
Yes.
so it would be literal enforcement of the provisions of the ordinance would result in unnecessary hardship. No fair and substantial relationship exists between the general public purposes of the ordinance provision and the specific application of that provision of the property because he is not exceeding the square footprint of the building versus the square footage of the property. Again, he's providing additional housing more efficiently.
There is not a fair and substantial relationship between the general, not exceeding proposed use is a reasonable one, because provides for a reasonable and economic use. All right, there is not a fair substantial relationship with the application, does not exceed lot coverage, and densities are high near town center. All right, there is not a fair and substantial relationship between the general public and the ordinance provisions and the specific application of the provision of the property, because no exceeding lot coverage and densities are high near town center, and there is a reasonable, the proposal is a reasonable one because it provides for reasonable and economic use of the property.
I agree.
Alright,
Second?
so-
What do you do, make
All right,
a proposal?
I'll make the motion.
Okay, make a motion that,
Or you make,
we
or
accept that as
Chris
read.
made it. I'll second it. It's a terrible second. Motion by Chris, seconded by Eric. All in favor?
aye.
Okay, motion, somebody needs to make a motion on the whole thing.
So I said, make a motion to, where is it? Case 1132 White Mountain Properties, as written with,
Oh, do we want
yes,
to, okay. You're ahead of me.
yes, with the condition that the driveway comes out on Columbus Circle. Anything else anyone wants to?
No, do we have a second?
I have a second, I'll second.
All,
You mentioned that that's via the right of way, or?
Yeah, via the right of way.
or via a right away, well,
Right.
it's the
Just he can move it.
if it's better higher up,
Right.
I don't want to restrict them to that, it's what I'm thinking.
But he owns the property,
Yeah.
so if he needs to,
It'd be a matter of moving the right of way, correct?
then he'd have to just adjust the deed
It'll be a right of
from
way.
himself to, from himself to himself.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, okay, unanimous, okay. I will,
This is the part where Christine would say, I'll get you this in the next blah, 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 blah.
5 business days.
5 business days.
5 business days? How long is she out for?
Pardon?
How long is she out for?
2 months.
so should I wait until you get
Is
them
this her
typed up
knee?
and then,
I'm sorry?
should I wait until you get them typed up or?
Rotator cuff.
All right.
Holy crap. Okay.
You're all set.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Can I keep drawing?
I'll second
Yes.
the word,
Yes, you can.
yeah.
Good night. Thank
All right.
You
well,
too.
Good luck with it.
Thanks a lot.
Okay.
Do you have a worksheet for special?
I didn't see one, but I'm gonna take another look through the,
I have a copy.
oh, super. A blank one?
Yes.
Oh, pretty.
I'm even gonna take a copy so I can keep one.
All right, thank you, Maura. Yeah, I didn't see one on the first trip through. Okay. All right, case number 1133, David Milne, owner, Avenue Development Agent, requested variance provided in Article 4, Section 409.9 to permit parking spaces with less than the required 10 by 20 dimensions. The property is identified as map 116, lot 76, and is located on Spring Street in the heavy commercial B2 zoning district.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I have a problem. I may not be able to sit on this case because we have already gone through this case through the planning board and reviewed it several occasions, and I guess it would be up to Mr. Jacks if he'd like me to sit on it or not. I'd be fine with it this evening, thank you.
And, I'm assuming, but I will double check with Mr. Spalding Senior that he is not sitting. He's
Well, the criteria isn't what the applicant feels. It is what the person who is going to sit there as a juror. It's no different than a juror in a court case. When you do the juror de voir, if in fact the person has a preset opinion of whether the guy pulled the trigger or not, he can't sit. So that being said, I can't sit because when he first came forward on Spring Street, at that point, I had a conversation with, and he asked me to step down. So in doing that, I can't sit on his case for Spring Street. But assuming here that Herb has not formed an opinion and feels that he meets the juror de voir, then he can lawfully sit.
Given Mr. Spalding's explanation, I got to admit that I feel I have already come to a decision on this. And I do feel conflicted as far as sitting on this.
Okay.
Unfortunately, that leaves us in a quandrum.
Well,
Wouldn't it be true if any of us did any research based on this? We're gonna form some kind of opinion before we sit down? I mean,
Well,
it's not a jury where you're not hearing the case until you sit down in front of the court. You're getting the case presented to you ahead of time, and we are allowed to do research, check RSAs, take measurements, do whatever's necessary.
But not hear testimony, but I think that's up for, Mr. Teller to decide. If he feels conflicted, then.
That's entirely up to you. If you feel conflicted, then
Well, I feel I've already decided, how I will vote on this, and I don't think that's fair to Mr. Jacks.
Alright, and the only quandary that leaves us is you've got to get a unit 3-0.
Okay.
And then you have the prerogative to go ahead tonight or wait until we can sit 4 people.
I want to add to that so that
Okay.
so that Winslow is clearly understood by all the board members, because if it's not, becomes a tremendous legal pit. It is not research and etc. It's actually forming an opinion for or against. You can do all the research you want and come in and get a question, say, why do you want this? And but when you form the opinion and do not meet and cannot answer the question of whether you are or not impartial, that's it. It isn't for the board to make.
well, who's gonna know that other than me about my opinion?
Well, we're
You're not gonna know that. I know that.
That's right.
And I know how I feel about whatever.
That's right.
So
But
it's,
if you know what the law is, you know if you.
I know what the law is.
Wait a minute. I knew what the law was when it came to Sunapee Street. I knew clearly what the law was.
Okay.
And I put it forward, and that's the way it should be done. I am the only one out of the planning board and zoning board who steps down. So
Fine.
the only one that has the understanding, thorough understanding of Winslow and what it means to a community. So that being said, Mr. Whalen, sitting here and voting on something that you're predisposed about is not doing somebody a favor. It could wind up in tremendous litigation. If you read the case, it's clear. So I think the right thing has been done here tonight, and the case can still go forward because there's 3 of you.
And it's not just you're not supposed to hear testimony or discuss it among others and stuff. It's not just forming the opinion. It's one thing to do research and ask staff about it. It's another to discuss it around town and stuff. So it's not, my understanding, it's not just forming the opinion. It's getting testimony before for a notice meeting. So that being said,
Yes.
it is your, both Mr. Spalding and Mr. Teller have recused themselves. And I don't know what our alternate situation is, whether we could sit for in another meeting or not. Do you,
I don't think we have another alternate.
that was my, yeah.
So, Mr. Skinner, would there be another board member here next month?
That's what we're,
Next month you'd have Jeff
You know-
Kessler.
Yeah, I don't,
oh, you're just sitting in for Jeff? You and
yeah,
oh, okay.
I'm not.
All right, yeah, so you would have Mr. Kessler.
I mean, it's pretty straightforward stuff, but, I mean,
Yeah, it's the only, next month, 3-1 gets you done. This time, nobody can say no.
right. I do apologize, I just don't feel I can give you a fair shake. That's okay. That's, you know.
Jimmy's now.
Yeah, appreciate it. Do we know if we'll have, here next week? Because we were 3-0 last month, there was the three of you fellows were here.
Yeah. And it must have been 4, was Jeff was here too, wasn't he?
Yeah, Jeff saw these before too.
Yeah. Yeah, no, but I mean, Jeff, we must have been 4.
Oh, he's 4-0, yeah.
No, I was not here.
Oh, you
Oh,
were
that's
not
right.
here.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
you were,
I wasn't
yeah,
All right,
okay.
yeah, so we went ahead with 3 last time. Okay.
Okay. Well, I'm in a little bit of a quandary here. Turn left, turn right.
Yeah, I know,
you know.
I understand, and it's the thing with small town and summertime.
Yeah. 'Cause next month,
And you not doing it last time.
say again?
And you not doing it last time, I will scold you a little bit for that.
Yeah, well, I mean, if I may just speak to that just
Yes.
for a moment, if I have permission to do that.
Yes, go ahead.
When Mr. Spalding was very precise in asking me about the plans and about the 10 by 20. And so when I went home that evening, I didn't sleep very much, so I got up the next morning and went to the surveyors and chatted with the engineers about it. And we pulled the original plan that was approved by the zoning board and the planning board. And lo and behold, that was the one that we had, that we used from back in 2020. And right there in the corner, it says 9 by 18. So that, thank you for pointing that out. And so-
And I went through the minutes, and Mr. Kessler several times said,
Yeah.
requires 10 by 20, are they 10 by 20? And to your credit, you didn't say, damn it, yes they are. You both
No,
repeated each other and said, I think they are.
Yeah, well, what I said was, specifically was, what we did for the variance approval here with the parking reduction was that nothing changed. It was the exact same plan, with the exception of this parking that was removed.
And I realize this is a complex project,
Yeah.
but we were here last month specifically on parking spaces, so
Yeah, yeah.
we
so-
could have nailed it then.
Yeah, and,
But so,
yeah,
your
so-
call, whether you want to go with the 3 of us or go for next
do you
month.
fellas feel all right with going tonight, or?
I'd like to hear what's been presented. Yeah, I'd like to,
My
because
thought is that's one less thing.
I thought we had gone through the variances on this before. but-
Yeah, okay, so, I'll set this up here, and I'll introduce myself. And, Jack Franks with Avenue Development Group, and appreciate the opportunity to be here tonight to chat about the Spring Street, development. And here seeking a variance for a, reduction of parking stall size. And as I just get, I'm saying, the original plan that we brought to the zoning and planning board, we pulled that up, and as I just noted, the stall size was 9 by 18. We have development projects we do all over the state, and 9 by 18 is pretty standard unless you go to Hanover, and they're 8 by, they're 8 feet wide.
Small.
That to me is pretty small, but in Hanover, that's kind of the way they do it up there. So last month looking for a,
They want everybody to have a Prius.
yes, yes. And we were here last month to discuss the chopping off of this additional parking area here to which the variance was granted for this new layout, showing 65 parking spots. Mr. Spalding pointed out that, it would be 10 by 20. And so I went back, as I just stated, and researched it and pulled the original plan that was presented to both the zoning and planning, and found that they were, and I can bring that up and show you if you folks would like to see it. Show you that, just to show you where.
So this particular plan was already approved by the planning and zoning?
Yeah, so it was right here.
18.
Yeah, 9 by 18, yeah. And so, 9 by 18 with it, and this, and I know that Christina has a copy of this, so it was right on there and it was presented, so it was really kind of a shock to me, and so when you brought that question up, I was, geez, I know it's exactly the same, because we never changed anything else on this plan.
I think it's safe to say we didn't know that, but that being said, do we need to be here tonight?
It was not submitted. I mean, it was submitted, that's the way it was
Yeah.
submitted, so, and it was submitted to both zoning and planning. And it was approved, but out of courtesy and respect for you folks, I wanted to come back and share this with you, because, listen, I'm here for the long haul.
Yeah.
And I don't want anything that isn't out front, and you fellas, you folks all deserve to
Well,
the truth, so I came right back.
I appreciate that, not showing up with 18 lawyers saying you already approved it, Mr. Spalding.
Has it been opened up to the public yet?
I will, yeah, we haven't opened the case yet,
Okay.
so we just, Mr. Spalding?
Okay, well, I'll wait for you to open the case then.
Okay, well, I was questioning whether we needed to open the case,
Well,
and you had something to say right
okay,
after
okay,
that.
I would speak to that strongly. Wayland said, was that planning and zoning? He put the two together in one sentence. They need to be separated.
Yeah, we
Did
should
the
only
planning
talk.
board approve that plan?
The planning board approved
Do you have the signatures on it?
this plan right here. I have notice of decision, and this plan here is the exact one that I gave to the zoning board, and then came in for the planning board,
Okay.
and both were approved.
But my question isn't that.
Okay.
My question is, I don't see the sign-offs on that sheet.
Well,
Yeah, we'll go with
You
that.
have those
Okay.
in the office?
Well, what's recorded, I should think that what was recorded would come forward. I'm not against you, I'm discussing, I like to look at all points.
but you're not, you
In order to make a
recused
decision. May I speak?
yourself. No, you recused yourself
I am speaking.
from the discussion.
I am a public, I don't have the right to speak. Will you
Then
shut
you
up?
open it up to the
Chris,
public.
Chris, he has the floor, and we haven't even opened the case yet. We're just
I've been given the floor by the
discussing
chairman.
this. Yes. And you can go next.
So, that being said, the parking spaces were delineated there at that size, is in fact poured in concrete, if that's the plan that has the signatures on it of the planning board.
Well, I can say this with complete honesty, I would never come in here and lie to you fellas. That is the plan that was given to the zoning and planning.
Right.
100%.
I'm believing you,
Yeah.
I'm believing you, but the one you're showing me right now does not have the signatures on it. So, assuming that the recorded plan has the signatures on it, you're golden. Either way, I think.
I don't have it, everything's in Christina's office, so.
Right, and that has to be
Yeah.
found. So you might just make a motion to kick the can down the road until such time as you see a Mylar that has the SIGs on it, and then he's golden. Because he has not misrepresented, if that's the plan that they approved, to either board.
Yeah. And I want to formally apologize for that. We're so used to 9 by 18 that was really, what we had there. And so, I was shocked, but I went back and like, boy, you're
Well,
teaching
Jeff was,
detail, you know?
I read the minutes, and Jeff was on it a couple times too, and to your credit, you didn't swear that they were, you said that that's what the plan required.
No, literally, yeah.
Chris, you're next after this lady, do you have something to add? I've kind of opened up to the public, so go ahead.
Well,
And state your name so she can,
Karen Arleo, and I was just wondering if the approved parking spaces are 9 by 18.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you need to small it down even more?
No.
No.
So you'll stay with 9 by 18? Okay. Handicap spots, are you required to have handicap spots? And if so, what are the dimensions of those?
Those are ADA compliant handicap spots. They have-
Okay.
Yeah, they have ample size for the ADAs. Yeah. And we have
So we changed.
more ADA than we need, so.
Does that alter the?
I don't think so. Okay, Chris, go ahead, sorry.
Are we opening it up?
No, that's what we're discussing, whether we even open the case. That's what we're discussing now, whether we even open the case. Because if we approve, one theory is if we approve that plan, then we approve 9 by
18.
9 by 18. So we don't
I have
need,
a question. Do any of the sitting board members or recused members remember whether or not Christina came in with the Mylar and had you sign it?
No.
we don't do, planning does that, we don't typically,
Okay.
we typically just sign notice of the opinion.
We were behind on some print, signing books.
Right,
some
and
of
that's
my
why
life,
I'm
so we did
asking.
some of them in mass quantities. I don't recall if Spring Street was one of those. I would assume it was, because we were trying to get caught up on some old ones.
And actually, I don't know if we get involved in planning, if the zoning,
But
that was
if
one that zoning saw and zoning approved, then I think that's what we approved.
But if planning missed it, it's on planning if they, right? Because he's supposed to fill everything according
Okay.
to our RSA's.
Yeah.
But in the case of, in this circumstance of zoning approved it and didn't
Yeah, I think we should concentrate.
pay attention to that detail, I think in light of the fact that the ordinance says 10 by 20, and the reality is gonna be 9 by 18, that we hear the case and vote on that one way or the other. I mean,
But it would have no bearing if the signed Mylar is already signed.
Well, yeah, I don't
it
know.
wouldn't, but it would give them a granted variance.
Well, I think he has a granted variance. And
If
to
we've
me-
already-
Yeah, to me, that's more important than the Mylar and planning, was if that's the plan we approved, then it's past the zoning.
The
But
Mylar, yeah, the Mylar was filed, there's no question about that, because I brought that up and gave that to
Yeah.
Steve, so, and I paid the fee to.
See, having her not
Yeah,
here
wait, but it's clear.
is a real,
Go ahead.
The line would be very clearly drawn if he deliberately misrepresented.
Right.
Then he loses.
Yeah.
If he put it in there and we missed it, the line is clear. Now, it doesn't have to be that document, but you see, he brought that document, so that document doesn't have the credibility of what was here on the table.
I appreciate that.
But what's in the office that may not be recorded yet, but is in the official file, if it shows 9 by 18, it's a done deal, in my opinion.
Has anybody got their magnifying glass with them? Yes, we have. Yeah, we have. This is what we were given.
I can snap a photo, I have to leave you in orange yet.
Is that a photo of the sign?
I mean, it's not signed, but it was what was in our packet that we voted on.
That's it, that's it. If you can see that little dot right there, I'll zoom in on that, but that's the one.
That was what was in our packet.
yeah, I can see that.
I already feel
9 by
like-
18.
You should not
Okay.
have the case heard and just leave it as it is.
So that's,
18, right there.
yeah.
They said it would be to continue,
So
find the information.
The only argument that a lawyer, I think, could make in this case is it was de facto. Can you do a de facto zoning variance? Can you do one by mistake? But that being said, in this whole situation, we have to be fair. And if those file folders like you got 9 by 18, I think he's done.
Yeah, I'll take Chris's eyes are better than mine, but
Well, my
it's-
phone,
yeah.
I did
Yeah.
what he suggested, I just took my phone,
Yeah,
zoomed in on
anyways,
it.
yeah.
I mean,
And
it's,
And again, I want to apologize, I was never intentional.
No, to be honest, I don't ever remember it coming up in the original case, but that was many moons ago.
It's almost 2, yeah, it was 2 years ago, yeah, so.
And that would have included my review right from the get-go.
Yeah.
And I didn't pick it up then either. So, but there is one thing I gotta say. Not paving the areas for paving that we gave you, to me, is unsatisfactory. If I was, as a board member, and when it went down, I said, it should be paved.
Well, I tell you, what, in all fairness to everybody, this additional area that we talked about over here, that was going to be gravel, if in fact we find that we have and need that additional parking for more than just gravel, I'll pave it. That's okay, no worries. Listen, I said earlier, I'm here for a long haul.
Yeah,
You know, we've been here for a while. I want to have a good, strong relationship and an honest relationship with you folks, and,
well, you've been above board in the past, and
I came back,
things that
I
I've
called Christina the
sat
very
on.
next day. I called her that day, I said, hey, I gotta talk to you. And so I chatted with her, and she said, well, this can come back, tell them what happened, and we go from there. So I'm here as a result of that, so.
All right, my inclination is he's good to go. Does anybody have a big objection with that?
I have no objection, if that's the case, then absolutely.
You can, but the case now, I'm just doing my
Yeah,
job, which is look
we
at
haven't
everything.
opened it, we're just discussing as a board.
Right, and if you leave it that way until a legal opinion can come, because it would not be in his benefit to find out that because you missed it. But maybe he doesn't want to take that chance. And we're not going to have Christina back here for what, 60 days?
Yeah.
At least, yeah, I guess that's what I heard.
The plan comes in and it's our responsibility to know it inside and out.
Yeah.
So I guess I would ask them, what's the preference of the board? What would you prefer?
Honestly, if there was a way to, if you don't need the variance because it's been approved,
Right.
if there was a way that I could say we should grant the variance because I don't think it's an unreasonable request based on research that I've done, and listening to what is on that plan and looking at the layout of what you're trying to do, I don't think that you're asking for an unreasonable request. But we're not really voting on the variance, so.
Let me add this, both Mr. Whalen and I went around with a tape measure today, and if we uphold the 10 by 20 standard, Christina needs a book of non-compliant.
Yeah. There's a lot of places around that are not compliant with the 10 by 20 rule here. So, that being said, if it was overlooked by, whether it's overlooked by us or overlooked by the planning board, and it's on there and it's been signed for, then you're in. I don't know if we have to vote on this to allow the variance to happen in case somebody goes, it's a 10 by 20. It's not 10 by 20.
Well,
But it still goes back to the fact that, so we don't, when we have a variance, like this was a special exception because he could build pretty much anything there except for housing. So we approve that, but for our end of things, it has to be built per statutes and blah, blah, blah.
Sure, yeah,
So
and I understand
if the
that.
planning board missed the size thing, that's totally out of our purview. None of this is,
Yeah.
this has nothing to do with zoning. So for us to just say, yeah, we're gonna grant a variance, which will set precedent for that, So I would just leave it.
Would that just muddy the water?
Yeah. 'cause
Yeah,
they,
so no sense in,
That's a good point.
they approved
Yeah.
it, so,
fine, yeah, I
you know what
agree
I'm
with
saying?
that.
So then if he builds it all and the town's like, well, those aren't right. All right, well, here's this thing from the planning board says I can build it.
And we approved it with the, go ahead.
I think I got it.
Oh,
Jim just lit right into it. The only reason he's here is because now he thought it needed a variance. But on the plan, the planning board approved, was no. So, which came first, the chicken or the egg? The planning board was first.
yeah.
So, that being said, you don't have anything to do right now. And I don't know if she'll give you back your fee, Crosby. We all had to come
You
here.
have to wait 60 days and a 30-day processing period.
Okay, so then I guess I would look for a motion to adjourn.
That's a good point. Yeah. All right,
Motion to adjourn,
appreciate
I
it.
can make a motion to adjourn.
all in favor? Aye. Well, good job for a newbie. Yeah. No, not you, no.
How are you?
And
Good to see you.
Yeah, I don't think Jack's a newbie.
Well, this is my first time doing that.
Doing what? Which one?